All right. I wanted to do a little experiment because I've been working on changing the way I approach my stutters. Because before I used to stutter with resistance, so I would uh, allow the stutter to happen, kind of to let people hear my stutter, but it would be with resistance and holding back. So now I'm working on trying to stutter with abandon. But there are two different approaches that I'm experimenting with now that have a different outcome, and I think that's interesting. So I wanted to show that, and I will do that by reading a part of this book. I don't actually own a book about stuttering, so surprisingly. So I took a book about mental health. So I will read this part 2 times, and the first time I will focus on sitting in the stutter and just being with the stutter and seeing how it happens. And for the second time I read it, I will stutter with abandon and letting go of control. I think, but I'm a bit unsure about that. But let's just see. Okay, so the first way I'm going to approach my stutter when reading this is sitting in the stutter and taking up space and resisting time pressure. This is so important to understand as you get started on building better emotional fitness. You can develop your ability to handle emotions by feeling more, especially by feeling more of the feelings that challenge you. By lifting heavy emotions becomes easier. You can feel a greater range of emotions and you can feel them more deeply. Right. So what I like about this approach is that it's just nice to not rush through stuttering, to just be like, yep, this is happening now and I will sit with it. And it makes me feel very relaxed. But what I don't like about this is that I'm very aware of my stuttering and I'm almost distracted from what I'm actually reading. So now I will read it a second time, and now I will focus on stuttering with abandon, complete loss of control, I think. That's what it feels like, at least. And yeah, just stuttering dangerously, I think. This is so important to understand as you get started on building better emotional fitness. You can develop your ability to handle emotions by feeling more, especially by feeling more of the feelings that challenge you. By lifting heavy emotions becomes easier. You can feel a greater range of emotions and you can feel them more deeply. Alright, so what I notice when I do this approach is that I often skip the stutter on the first letter and I move into the middle of the word and then like float around there and like, what's happening? And actually this feels more natural because I'm not focused on my stutter, I'm focused on what I'm reading more. But it does feel more tense in my jaw. And I've never experienced stutter, like tension in my jaw before, like before I did this therapy. My tension was always in my belly because I was just holding it back there. And now the loss of control, I feel it like in my jaw, which is interesting, I think. So I'm just trying both of these things, and I think one thing can help the other thing become more easier. But yeah, that's gonna be for another time to talk about that. But yeah, if you want to try this out, I'm curious what you find if you read a part and you first focus on sitting in the stutter completely and taking up all the space and resisting time pressure, and then reading it again and doing nothing, like completely allowing it to go wrong and stutter dangerously, as Vivian calls it, and stutter with abandon. I'm curious what results or like what you feel if you do it. So let me know in the comments. Which of the two approaches was I doing or am I doing now? What do you think? I like experimenting with this, okay?